Now you're going to see me mention a supernatural story that happened to me. So, I'm in this koinonia. We're all chilling because we have a 30-minute, they gave us like a 30-minute break. They had it 20 minutes at first, and then they changed it to 30 minutes. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll go and ask one of the stews if I can go outside. And the outside is what you're going to see before this talk in this video. There was like a stairs I go down, you'll see, and a trail and a river in the back. And I asked one of the stews, I was like, hey, can I go out down the stairs on that trail? I'll be back in time, yada, yada, yada. They were like, no, they kind of want us to stay indoors. They only allowed us in the back, which you're not going to see. Well, you might see, but they only let us in the back because of like smoke breaks. But I would go out there with people in their smoke break, and I would kind of like walk around and enjoy the little view. Now, I'm glad the stew told me that I couldn't go outside. Now, why am I glad? Not because they weren't allowing me to go outside, and holding me against my free will, if you want to think that's not what any of that's about. And that's not what I was thinking. What I was thinking is I'm glad they didn't allow me to go outside is because I didn't know what was going to happen until it happened. I witnessed some things that I didn't think I would ever sit here and say happened. If you've watched my previous videos, you will see a like I met Jesus video where I encountered Jesus, some of the sorts, where I kind of explained what my encounter with Jesus and everything was. And since then, nothing really crazy has happened until this Koinonia weekend. A lot of crazy stuff happened on this Koinonia weekend. But this is one of the most craziest things that happened on this weekend by far. I get told, hey, you can't go outside down to the pathway because they want us to stay in. So like, okay, let me go to the sanctuary. Something told me to go to the sanctuary. So I go to the sanctuary. I sit down. Nobody's in there. Nobody. Everybody's chilling in their rooms, on their phones. Now, mind you, we aren't supposed to be on our phones, but people will do what they want. It's not like they can make you stay off your phone. But they sent out an email saying we'd appreciate it if you kept your phones in the room. We put this weekend to God. I used my phone a couple times. One to text my mom to bring me food because of the diet I'm on. Two to text my one manager that I want to be responding and that I had to fill out a background check really quick because I wanted to get that done as fast as possible on our break. So then I'm in the sanctuary, quiet. Nobody's in there. I'm alone. And I start praying. Now, a few minutes go by. I don't even think it was a few minutes. I think it was like a minute went by. And I felt like uncertain and uneasy a little bit. Not like crazy, but just like a little bit uneasy about the whole weekend, and I didn't know how I felt yet. And now that the weekend was over and we had like the ending, I'm gonna go into to future, and I'm gonna foreshadow exactly what I'm talking about. But my mom's best friend, who she met on her weekend years ago, I want to say like over 7 or so years ago, she was there to talk to me after we did everything. And this was before we went into the church and signed out for good. But she was explaining to me exactly what was happening in the sanctuary when I was in the sanctuary, and it made a lot of sense. Now, to go back to the sanctuary, like I said, I was sitting there for, I won't even say like a minute, and I hear pews. Pews, if you don't know, if you're not familiar, are the seats that we sit in. And they're like these, they don't have any, it's not like individual seats, but it's like these long wooden, some have cushions, some don't. These long wooden seats, in a sense, where the people sit in church. And these pews started creaking. Now, creaking meaning sounding like people were sitting down in them. Now, mind you, nobody was in this church with me. Nobody was in the sanctuary part. I'm sorry. People were in the church, but there's like a whole bunch of other parts of the church. But in the actual sanctuary where we praise the Lord, nobody was in there. So I hear a creaking behind me to the right. I'm like, okay. I hear a creaking behind me to the left. Behind me to the far, far back of me. Just random spots just creaking. So I turn around, I'm looking back, I'm like, there's no one here. There ain't nobody here. I thought maybe there was some crazy going on. Now I know. Now that what follows, what I'm gonna tell you, what follows is very supernatural. I turn around. I'm looking. Nobody's there. Nobody's in the sanctuary with me, and it's peace and quiet. Complete quiet. I was praying, and I'm hearing creaking. Turn around again. Nobody there. So I turn back around. I'm like, okay, this is a little weird. So I'm praying a little more. It was silent for a few minutes. Silent. And then I start hearing footsteps behind me, all the way in the back. Now I'm deaf. Like if there's like loud noises and someone's trying to talk to me, I won't hear them. But if it's quiet, nothing's going on, and people are whispering across the room, I can hear it. I don't know if it's selective hearing, if it's like I'm very sensitive to loud noises, and when loud noises are happening, I can't hear anything else. I don't know what it is, but it's very quiet in the sanctuary. I hear footsteps, like thump, 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 like 3 or 4 footsteps. I turn around, all the way in the back. There's a set of stairs. Like if you're me here, the front where I'm looking is where the priest and stuff does their stuff. Behind me back here, if I turn around to the right like this, in the back there's a door. In the middle there's 2 doors. On the right there's a door. The door you could see through. Or actually, I don't even think there was 2 doors in the middle. I think it was just a glass window. But anyways, the door on the left, door on the right, both have glass windows also. It's like half a glass window. The other half is a solid door frame. Well, you can see through the window. And there's stairs, but there ain't nobody walking up the stairs. There ain't nobody. So I'm like, okay, someone's here. But at the same time, no one is here who's visible. So I'm like, okay, now it's not really weird anymore, but it's more so like I know what's going on. I wasn't really scared. I wouldn't say I was scared at first, but I was a little freaked out when I was hearing the pews making the creaking noises and stuff. So I'm like, okay, well, there's footsteps. Alright, whatever. Turn back around, I'm praying. I hear a little bit more footsteps. Don't know if it was like the first footsteps. I can't really remember if it was the first set of footsteps or the second set of footsteps. But one of the sets of footsteps sounded like it was going upstairs, and the other set of footsteps sounded like it was just walking on the ground. If that makes any sense at all. I have no clue if that's making any sense to y'all, but that's just how it was and how it went. And then I'm sitting there, it's completely quiet for, I want to say, maybe 4 or 5 minutes goes by. Complete silence. I'm praying. I kind of finish up my prayer, and what happens next is the same thing what happened in the beginning, but this is what made me kind of like tie in what my mom's best friend Joy, who she met at her retreat, her women's retreat, was kind of saying. Right when I was finishing up my prayer, after I finished up my prayer, I kind of sat there in silence because I was really like astonished of what happened. The pews in the same spots, because you know how you have like peripheral vision, and you have the periphery like the you have peripheral vision to see how, I don't know why I mentioned that makes absolute zero sense, but you know how you have like spatial audio in your brain, like you hear whatever directions people, like noises and people are talking and things are happening from. You can kind of depict where the noises were coming from. Once I got to the end of my prayer, was finishing up my prayer, I heard the same creaking, noises from the same directions of my spatial audio in my brain. Back on my back right, far in the back behind me, on my back left. The same exact spots, one after the other, but in different order. Like, the first creaking happened, I heard from the back right, then I heard from way in the back middle, then I heard from the back left, like 2 different areas, and then it happened in different orders, like people were standing up in different orders leaving. Now, what I was saying with my mom's friend, I went kind of back and forth into the future, into the past, into the future, back to the past. Now I'm back into the future. She was saying when a lot of people are uneasy and aren't really sure, angels will come down to comfort them. Now, I thought initially that these creaking noises were like it was Jesus like bouncing from one pew to the other. And it kind of made a little sense to me, but then when she explained what she explained, that didn't make sense to me anymore. What she explained made more sense to me, that angels, because it was like one creaking after the other, like there was no room for it to be like a creaking and then like 5 seconds later, like they got up there, walking to the other pew, sitting down, creaking. It was like one creak and then another creak and then another creak, like right after each other. So when she was saying angels coming down to comfort when you're uneasy or unsure, it made a lot of sense to me. Now, after that, after I heard the creaking again in those same spots but in different orders, it was completely silent. The whole rest of the time I was in there, I was done with prayer, but I sat in there because I was like, did I just experience what I experienced? And I was really, 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 really confused at first. I didn't understand really what exactly happened till I started talking to my pastor about it. Well, not quite talking to him about it, but like going on my way to find him to talk to him about it, because he was one of the what is it called? I forgot what it's called, but he was one of the 2 people there who were doing all of the stuff that the pastors do. Like, there's a name for him, but I can't think of the name. But anyways, going off topic, I went to go talk to him. And as I was going to talk to him, I was thinking about what exactly just happened. And I knew I knew that Jesus, God, sent angels there to be with me. At that time, I didn't know, because I at that time thought somebody was there, something was there, but I just thought it was Jesus kind of moving around. But then my mom's best friend said no. So I didn't mention that to her until after she explained to me what she was saying it was. And then I was like, this is what I thought, but what you're saying makes a lot more sense. So we're sitting there and she's explaining that to me, and my pastor, he asked me, he said, did you find peace? And I said yes. After the footsteps in that, and right when I was finishing my prayer, right before I finished my prayer, I had a very overwhelming, like I'm talking very overwhelming peace wash over me. I didn't feel it wash over me, but it was not there and then it was there. And after that happened, the angels stood up, heard all these creaking noises in different orders from when they initially happened, and then it was complete silence. For the whole other 5 or 10 minutes I was in there just quiet. Nothing. I just can't really sit here and explain enough to you guys how much things have happened in the last week, let alone the last 3-4 months I've been following my faith. I want to thank my pastor Mike for just initially talking to me, and then it just went from there. He initially started talking to me because I was going through a lot of mental episodes, which I still struggle with to this day. like I still prey on, and I still have, these things that the devil's in my ear trying to get me, telling me I'm not good enough, telling me this, telling me that. And it takes me a second to snap out of it, like 5-10 minutes or so, and then I snap out of it and I'm fine. And I really need to pray more on that too. And I was really going through, I broke down to my parents. I told them everything. They didn't know I was bullied. They didn't know I did drugs. They didn't know all these things they didn't know. And I feel like it would have been better if I would have told them earlier. Maybe they could have helped me from doing a bunch of these things that probably have now a permanent effect on my brain and everything and my body. Who knows? We're not going to get too far into that into this video, but I think that if I would have talked to them sooner, I would have been in a kind of a better spot. I wouldn't have wasted all my money on drugs and again, sorry, I'm rambling. I'm not going to get into that. But the Pastor Mike, my pastor at Crosspoint, which is now my church, he helped me a lot. Just the one talk I had with him, he helped me a lot. And I can't be more grateful for that. I can't be more grateful for my parents and the people in my church who I have around me. I can't be more thankful for all my friends who I get to call friends in this life, everybody at this Koinonia weekend, and all the people I've met through this journey. I couldn't thank you guys enough. So again, thank you all. And we're going to get right back into the video here. You'll see us soon. Peace and love. God bless.